A woman will literally rewrite the entire story of your relationship inside her head. She will rehearse the breakup speech, mourn you, and mentally move on, all because you failed to do something she desperately wanted but refused to ask for. And the worst part is you will have absolutely no idea it even happened until it is already too late. Here's why this matters more than most men realize. Research on communication gaps in romantic relationships found that nearly 3/4 of women admitted to wanting specific behaviors from their partner that they had never once verbally requested. Not because they forgot, not because it was not important, because they believe that having to ask strips the behavior of its meaning entirely. She would rather go without the things she wants than have to explain it to you. That is not stubbornness. That is not a flaw. That is how she is wired. And if you do not understand that wiring, you will keep losing women who are completely in love with you without ever understanding why they left. Here are 7 things women silently crave from men, but will almost never say out loud. And the third one on this list is the one that quietly destroys more relationships than any argument ever could. The first is interrupting her overthinking with physical certainty. Every woman has a version of this moment. She is spiraling. Maybe about work. Maybe about something someone said 3 days ago that she is still mentally dissecting. Her brain is running 20 tabs and none of them are loading properly. What most men do in this situation is try to fix it. They start troubleshooting, offering solutions, making suggestions. And from a logical standpoint that makes complete sense, problem identified, solution offered. But here is what she actually wants and what she will never request. She wants you to walk over without saying a single word, take her face in both hands, and press your forehead to hers. Or pull her against your chest, and simply hold there. No advice. No commentary. Just your physical presence communicating something words consistently fail to deliver. I am here, I am solid. You can stop holding everything together for a moment because I am not going anywhere. Physical touch reduces cortisol levels significantly within minutes. But what research cannot fully capture is the emotional weight of unsolicited comfort from someone she trusts. She will not ask for this because asking for comfort feels like admitting weakness. So she spirals alone and quietly resents that you did not notice. You do not need to read her mind. Read her shoulders. The second is saying her name, and not only in obvious moments. There is something neurologically significant about hearing your own name spoken by someone you are attracted to. Research has found that hearing your own name activates specific regions of the brain associated with identity and self-representation. Your name is the one word in any language your brain treats as fundamentally, exclusively yours. Most men default to pet names, babe, baby, hun. Those are warm, but they are also generic. Every woman he has ever been with was probably called babe at some point. Her name, though, that belongs only to her. When you use it during a moment of real intensity, a whispered confession, a quiet moment of closeness where her name is the only word that comes, it creates a response that pet names cannot replicate. She will never ask you to use her name more because doing so would make it feel manufactured. The entire power of it is that it feels instinctive. Like she is so specifically on your mind that her name is simply the word your brain reaches for. The third, the silent relationship killer, is this. She wants you to pursue her after you already have her. That is the whole thing. And it is staggering how many men abandon this the moment the relationship becomes official. During the early stages, you were different. You initiated. You planned things. You complimented her without being prompted. Every interaction communicated that being with her was something you genuinely valued. Then you got comfortable. And comfort is not the problem. Comfort is natural. But somewhere between comfort and complacency, you stopped doing the things that made her fall for you. Not because you stopped caring, because you assumed the work was done. Research on couples who stayed together versus those who eventually separated identified this pattern clearly. Couples who drifted apart had significantly lower rates of turning toward each other, of small, consistent acts of choosing the other person, compared to couples who stayed deeply connected over time. She does not need grand gestures every week. She needs consistent, undeniable evidence that you would choose her again today. That if you met her for the first time this afternoon, you would still pursue her. She will never say this out loud because saying I need you to pursue me again feels desperate. So instead she goes quiet. She invests less because you invested less first. And by the time the distance becomes a conversation, it has already hardened into something far more difficult to reverse. The fourth is taking something off her plate without announcing it. Women carry an invisible cognitive load that most men never fully register. Work, household management, emotional labor, logistics, scheduling. She is running a constant mental project management system, and most of it goes entirely unnoticed. What she quietly craves is for you to identify one thing on that invisible checklist, without being asked, without it being delegated, and simply handle it. Quietly, completely, without expecting acknowledgement. The car needs attention. It is handled. She mentioned the kitchen tap was dripping. Fixed before she got home. She was stressed about something practical. Resolved because you noticed and acted. Research consistently shows that in most relationships, women carry a disproportionate share of this invisible workload, and the exhaustion is not from the tasks themselves, but from being the only person who remembers the tasks exist. When a man proactively handles something without being told, it creates a wave of relief and attraction that is almost disproportionately powerful. She will never ask for this because asking you to take something off her plate is itself another thing on her plate. The magic is entirely in the initiative. The fifth is verbal specificity about his desire for her, not generic compliments. Most men think women want to hear they are beautiful, and they do. But beautiful is the baseline. It is expected, and it does not leave an impression. What she actually wants, what makes her replay your words later, is specificity. Not "you are beautiful," but the way you tilted your head during that conversation made it genuinely difficult for me to focus on anything else. Not "I am attracted to you," but "I watched you walk across the room and forgot I was mid-sentence with someone." The difference is not in the warmth of the compliment, but in the specificity of the observation. Specific details prove you were actually watching, actually seeing her as an individual rather than performing a generic appreciation. She will never ask for this because you cannot request being observed. It has to emerge from genuine attention. And if you actually feel it, stop censoring it. The thought is already there. Say it out loud. The sixth is handling another man's attention with calm certainty. She does not want you to react aggressively. That is not attractive. That is a liability. But she also does not want you to be entirely unbothered. If another man is clearly directing interest toward her and you register absolutely no response, what she feels is not security in your confidence. What she feels is that you do not care enough to respond. The middle ground is calm, measured, entirely undramatic certainty. You close the distance. Your hand finds her lower back. You acknowledge the situation without being destabilized by it, with the quiet, relaxed confidence of someone who has nothing to prove because the answer is already obvious. Research in evolutionary psychology identifies proportional mate guarding as consistently attractive to women. The key word is proportional. Too much, and she feels controlled. Too little, and she feels undervalued. That precise middle ground, claiming without caging, is where genuine attraction lives. The seventh is physically guiding her with quiet confidence. This is the one that produces the most immediate response and the one men are most hesitant to attempt. She wants you to move her, reposition her, redirect her, draw her closer, with calm physical confidence and without asking permission first. Your hand on her waist steering her away from traffic. Fingers threading through hers, pulling her in a different direction because you spotted something worth showing her. Palm against her lower back, guiding her through a doorway. Standing behind her, hands gently turning her toward something. Research has found that women consistently rate confident physical guidance, defined clearly as assured rather than aggressive, as one of the strongest indicators of a desirable partner, simultaneously communicating protection, decisiveness, and physical confidence. The reason this is so powerful is that it operates entirely outside language. You cannot text this. You cannot fake it with words. It only exists in real time, in the electricity of physical proximity, and in the confidence to close distance without hesitation. She will never say she wishes you would simply guide her. But every time your hand finds her waist and redirects her without explanation, every time you pull her closer without announcing your intention, you become the man she measures everything else against. Now you have all seven. Use them, not as techniques, as genuine expressions of the man you actually are: present, attentive, confident, and paying close enough attention to give her what she needed before she had to find the words for it.